Indeed, we stepped out of that crowd at exactly the same second. I thought you were following me until you looked just as surprised to find me here. Now we have an apricot orchard, 6 beehives, and a thunderstorm building over those hills. I wanted somewhere quiet enough to hear myself think. Apparently, I also wanted work because this smoker is cold and that hive is waiting on us.
I wasn't following you. I was following the first honest impulse I'd had all afternoon, which was to leave before I started performing my own reaction to everybody else's performance. I supplied the orchard, I believe. You must have supplied the bees. So let's make the room earn its keep. Pack that smoker with pine needles. I'll pull on these gloves and we'll see what kind of quiet has 50,000 wings in it.
Indeed, fair warning, I don't know what I'm doing. I know smoke settles them. But there's a distance between knowing a sentence and putting your hands inside a living hive. That distance gets ignored in noisy rooms. Everybody speaks as if naming a thing is the same as touching it. Here, take the bellows. My first attempt smells like I set a welcome mat on fire.
That'll do. Fire doesn't need elegance, it needs breath. Slow squeezes. There you go. Now give the entrance 2 soft clouds, not a locomotive. We're not conquering anybody. We're knocking before we open the roof. I don't know bees either, but I trust any activity that punishes panic and rewards attention, makes the rules clear without putting them on a screen.
Needed 2 clouds. They're turning inward. That's remarkable. A minute ago, the air had edges, and now the whole colony seems to be reconsidering us. Help me lift this outer cover. Easy. The propolis has it glued down. There. Hear that change in pitch? I can feel it through the wood before I understand. Maybe that's what drew us both out. The crowd kept demanding understanding before either of us could feel what was happening.
Maybe, or maybe we were full. There is a point when another good idea becomes bad nutrition. You can overfeed the mind until it forgets hunger was ever useful. Hold that corner. Don't crush the bee near your thumb. Good. Now we lift the inner cover together on 3, but not the ceremonial 3 people use when nobody means to move. 1, 2, move.
That's heavier than it looks, and louder. Look at them filling every scene. I expected chaos, but each bee appears to have somewhere to be. The confusion belongs to me because I can't read the pattern. That happens with people too. From outside, a life looks contradictory. Inside it, maybe every choice is following a scent laid down years ago.
Careful with that thought. It can become a beautiful excuse. A man says he's following an old scent when he's really refusing to choose a new direction. Let's pull the second frame. Grip the ears and come straight up. Don't roll the bees against the wall. That's it. Honey along the top, pollen below, brood in the middle. The pattern isn't freedom, but it isn't prison either. It's yesterday negotiating with tomorrow.
You distrust explanations that arrive too polished.
I distrust the ones that make the teller innocent. I've made plenty. You put a rhythm under a mistake, call it fate, and suddenly nobody was driving. But we were driving. Even when the road was dark, our hands were on something. Turn that frame toward the sun. See those tiny white commas? Larvae. A whole future small enough to overlook unless you change the angle.
There it is. I couldn't see any of it from straight on. That feels embarrassingly relevant. I spend a lot of time deciding whether something is true by asking whether it can survive direct inspection. But some truths only appear obliquely, not because they're hiding, but because the light can't reach them from where you're standing.
Now that's useful. Not every side view is avoidance. Sometimes parallax is the only way to get depth. Hold still. One is walking across your wrist. She's not angry. She's reading you. If you slap at every small fear, you teach the whole body that fear was right. Let her finish. There, she left. You just had a conversation without forcing either party to explain itself.
My heart disagrees with your calm description. It jumped like she had a weapon, but I didn't move. That's interesting. Courage can look identical to stillness from the outside. Inside, it can be a riot. People applaud the visible act and miss the invisible negotiation that made it possible.
Sometimes stillness is just freezing. Same photograph, different truth. That's why I don't much trust snapshots of character. I want the film before and after. What did you do when the bee landed? What do you do next time? There is your pattern. Speaking of patterns, this colony is crowded. Every frame is packed, and those cups along the bottom look like queen cells.
Meaning they're preparing to swarm?
Meaning half this civilization may leave with the old queen and start again somewhere that does not yet exist. Not rebellion, exactly. More like success outgrowing its container. Listen outside. That pitch isn't only the storm. Look at the lower apricot branch, 10 yards left. That dark weight wasn't there when we arrived.
That's a swarm. It looks like the tree grew a beating heart. So the hive we opened isn't our real task anymore. We need another box. There's a small wooden one beside the shed, 5 frames inside. I'll bring it under the branch. You close this hive before the rain hits. Funny how quickly a room can revoke the conversation you thought you were having.
That's the room doing us a kindness. Ideas get vain when nothing interrupts them. Put every frame back in the same order. Bees know when a philosopher has rearranged the furniture. There, lid seated. I'm coming. That box is called a nucleus hive, I think. Set it level on the crate. If we can get the queen inside, the rest ought to follow her.
The branch is higher than it looked. I'll hold the ladder while you climb. Before you object, you're lighter than I am, and the branch reaches over loose ground. That's not a metaphor, that's load distribution. Put one foot on the third rung and test it. Good. I can feel every shift through the rail, so tell me before you lean.
I appreciate a man who separates physics from poetry. I'm at the branch. The swarm is warm enough that I can feel it through the glove. Thousands of bodies holding one another while scouts search for a home. That's a vulnerable kind of power. They look formidable, but right now they own nothing except cohesion. Slide the box 6 inches towards you. More. Stop.
Be ready. What's the move?
Trust me to cut the branch, and I trust you not to let the box or ladder move when 30,000 bees fall between us. Interesting arrangement for two men who haven't shared a meal. Hand me the pruning saw. When I say now, lower the lid and leave a finger width gap. They need an entrance, not an invitation to scatter.
The trust is specific. I don't know whether I'd lend you money, but I believe you'll warn me before the branch drops. That's enough for this. Maybe strangers go wrong by pretending trust is one enormous door. It might be a hallway of smaller doors, each opened by one kept promise. Saw straight. The cut is starting to bend.
Good correction. I'm changing the angle. Here it comes now.
Got it. Most are in. Lid down, small gap left. The air around my face is suddenly full of decisions. You have 3 on your veil and 1 inside the fold near your neck. Don't reach for it. Step down slowly. 4th rung. 3rd, you're clear. Walk away from the ladder and let me look at that collar.
She's inside the suit. I can feel her moving down my shoulder. Now we get to discover whether everything I said about stillness was wisdom or decorative courage. Unzip the collar 2 inches. If she flies, let her. If she stings, don't punish the whole swarm for one frightened citizen.
Collar open. There she is. She's caught in the mesh. I'm folding it outward. Go on, little one. She's free. No sting. You were holding your breath, by the way.
I absolutely was. The body keeps honest minutes when the mouth starts telling timeless stories. Thank you. Let's watch the entrance. If the bees raise their tails and fan their wings, that's a good sign. It means the queen may be in there and they're broadcasting home. See those 3? Abdomen up, wings going. We might have done it.
They're marching into the box. Not all at once. Each one seems to reach the threshold, inspect the dark, and commit. That gets me. From a distance, it looks like collective certainty. Up close, it's thousands of individual hesitations resolving in the same direction.
That's culture. Not the banner, not the slogan, not the speech before the game. It's what 1,000 small decisions have learned to expect from one another. I think about that at the University of Texas. They call me Minister of Culture, which is a grand title for standing close enough to ask whether our habits match what we say we love. The Longhorns are family to me. Football's in my blood.
Well, now we've found a piece of common ground. Neither of us used to build the room. I played college ball at Princeton, number 42. Years later, when I started my company, I named it 42 because that jersey carried a whole apprenticeship inside 2 digits. Preparation, impact, responsibility, the knowledge that your assignment matters even when the play goes away from you.
There it is. You didn't name it after the applause. You named it after the uniform that demanded something. A number is funny that way. It makes you less singular and more yourself. Anybody can wear 42, but while it's on your back, you owe an answer for what 42 does next. Did you love the game, or did you love who the game required you to become?
Both, until I couldn't separate them. Then leaving made the separation unavoidable. I had to ask whether discipline belonged to football or whether football had merely introduced us. For a while, I worried the best version of me had an expiration date stamped on his body. Building a company was partly discovering that the jersey had been a teacher, not an owner.
Teacher, not owner. Keep that. Too many of us preserve gratitude by remaining enrolled in a class we've already passed. Then we resent the teacher for repeating the lesson. Look at these bees. The old hive succeeded, so the queen left it. If she'd stayed because departure felt disloyal, the colony might have choked on its own abundance.
But departure isn't automatically growth. The swarm could choose a hollow that floods. Freedom introduces the possibility of a worse home. That's the piece inspirational stories edit out. You can leave the right thing at the right time and still fail. Maybe maturity is not needing the outcome to retroactively certify the courage.
Yes, a choice can be true and lose. A choice can be false and pay. Confusing reward with righteousness is how a man rents his compass to the weather. Speaking of weather, that storm is almost here. We need to move this box beneath the shed roof without breaking their procession. You take the rear handle, I'll take the front. Short steps.
We lift, the weight has changed. Earlier, it was an empty box we hoped would become a home. Now every tilt has consequences. Watch the irrigation ditch. Step over on your right. Good. Set down gently. Not yet, your side is lower. Raise 2 inches. Now down. There. The entrance still faces the orchard.
Here comes the rain. Hear it cross the leaves before it reaches the roof? That's one of my favorite sounds, an arrival announcing itself through everything it touches. The crowd we left announced itself by volume. This announces itself by relation. Tin, leaf, dirt, wing. Same rain, 4 voices.
The bees at the threshold are still fanning. Rain behind them, dark box ahead, and they keep making the entrance legible for the others. That's leadership stripped of theater. No one is facing the followers. They're facing the work and sending a signal. This is the way home.
Maybe that's why the noise wore us out. Too many signals saying, look at me, not enough saying, here is the opening. Attention became the product instead of the light. Yet I can't pretend I'm above it. I've enjoyed a room turning toward me. I've fed on that warmth and sometimes mistaken it for connection.
Same. Being seen can resemble being known if you don't test the difference. But being known has friction. It includes the detail that doesn't fit your preferred story. A crowd usually rewards coherence. A real person eventually says, that explanation is elegant, but I watched you hold your breath.
Which you did, and I needed it more than admiration. Near strangers have a peculiar freedom. We haven't invested enough in each other's myths to protect them. Still, we could waste that freedom by treating each other like blank pages. You're not blank to yourself. Neither am I. We arrived carrying whole libraries and agreed for an hour to read only what the work opened.
That may be the cleanest kind of meeting. No forced intimacy, no resume exchange disguised as curiosity. We learned what mattered because the ladder needed holding, the bee needed freeing, and the box needed carrying level. The activity didn't illustrate the conversation. It cross-examined it.
And it caught us both embellishing. I preached stillness, then held my breath. You praised individual hesitation, then gave crisp orders when the ditch appeared. Neither contradiction discredits the idea. It gives the idea a body. Truth without a body stays young forever because nothing can bruise it.
The rain is cooling the air fast. We should feed them sugar water tomorrow if the storm keeps them from foraging. Listen to me saying tomorrow, I entered because I needed 5 quiet minutes, and now I've accepted responsibility for a colony. Rooms can be dangerous when they make consequences feel natural.
Then let's not romanticize it. We come back tomorrow because we put living things in a box beneath a roof, not because the universe assigned us a symbol. Responsibility first, meaning second. Bring the smoker inside before the embers get wet. I'll stack the spare frames. After that, we can take 2 apricots and sit on the shed step, but only because we earned a little sitting.
Agreed. And when we return to the crowd, I don't want to carry this quiet in like a superior man displaying a rare object. I want to carry one useful question. Am I making myself visible, or am I making the opening visible? That distinction could change a room without requiring anyone to announce it.
I'll carry another. Is this still my teacher, or have I made it my owner? That's enough harvest for one storm. Here, this apricot split in the rain, so we eat it now or lose it. Sweet, a little bruised, no speech needed. Though I suppose we just proved 2 men can make a speech out of a bee walking through a door.
We can, but we also move the bees. That's our defense. The crowd may still be loud when we go back. We don't have to judge it or flee it forever. We just needed to remember that stepping out is not disappearance. Sometimes it's how you return with your hands steady enough to help.
Then we'll stay until the last stragglers find the entrance. No rush to turn the hour into a lesson before it's finished being an hour. You watch the left side. I'll watch the grass beneath the branch for any cluster we missed. 2 near strangers, 1 new hive, rain on tin. For now, that is plenty true.